Basketball is a really physical game, which means players are bound to get a few cuts and bruises, but major injuries are still quite rare in the league. However, that doesn't mean that the NBA hasn't seen its fair share of scary accidents. We've compiled a list of the worst injuries that players have ever endured during an NBA match. So let's dive into the video.
But first, a reminder about our brand new giveaway. We're giving away a PS5 with a copy of NBA 2K22 and Madden 22. All you have to do is watch the full video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. It's that simple.
First off is Joe Johnson's slip. Johnson was dribbling when suddenly he slipped during a dunk attempt and crashed onto his face as he was being stopped. He dropped face first onto the court, and honestly, it was hard to watch. His drop was so severe that we're sure viewers could even feel it through their screens. The crash was obviously quite serious as he broke his orbital bone. Because of this, Johnson had to miss the remainder of the playoff, but he did come back for the following round. Well, we have to give him credit for being tough. Following up is Marquise Daniels' spine injury. Nothing is more terrifying than watching a player go still on the court. Every spectator's darkest nightmares are rattling through their heads in such a moment. Something similar happened back in 2011. In a 2011 game, Marquise Daniels injured his spine. Daniels dashed into Gilbert Arenas while dribbling the ball. Arenas was defending Daniels while he had the ball on the wing. Gilbert's forearm brushed Daniels' neck as he attempted to shrug Arenas off. His neck was violently thrown back as a result of the impact, seriously hurting his spinal cord. Marquise fell to the ground and lay still for a bit, causing many spectators to worry about the severity of his injury. Later, a round of applause erupted when Marquise was led from the court. Daniels needed to be carried to safety before being taken to the hospital. His spinal cord was bruised as a result of the injury. Fortunately, he was able to restore motion in his limbs and escaped with just a little damage. Before making a comeback, the forward was out for at least a month. Next on the list is Baron Davis's knee tear. Davis was dribbling down the court and tried attacking the basket when he suddenly injured his knee quite severely. In addition to having completely torn his right anterior cruciate and medial collateral ligaments, Baron also sustained a partial rupture of his right patella tendon. It was super scary to watch him lying there on the court. In Game 4 of the Knicks series against the Miami Heat, Davis was injured in the third quarter. The 33-year-old was dribbling down the floor when his knee snapped and he looked to go down without making contact. Davis lay on the ground for a while as his team trainers attended to him. He was ultimately carried off the court on a stretcher. As he was taken off the floor, the Madison Square Garden spectators applauded him loudly, but television cameras show him in acute pain as he passed through the tunnel to players. Moving on to Jamal Crawford's backwards fall. With about 10 minutes left in the game, Crawford was guarding Fred Hoiberg, a former teammate, when Hoiberg faked left and the LA Clippers guard leaped. This caused him to fall over backward after landing on Hoiberg's upper back. Crawford had nothing to cushion his fall with his arms behind him and came to rest on his head, right above his neck. He instantly winced and started rolling around on the ground while the audience screamed. As painful as it was to see this, we can only imagine what Jamal must have been going through. Because Crawford was unconscious, his status wasn't immediately known. At Rush Presbyterian, he underwent a battery of testing, and it took a number of hours before the results were cleared. Next up is Derrick Rose's knee injury. Derrick Rose, the point guard for the NBA team, made headlines due to yet another knee injury. His right knee had a torn meniscus, the same condition that halted his previous season early. Many people had great expectations for the Chicago Bulls star, who was selected first overall in the 2008 NBA draft. Rose initially met expectations. In 2009, he was the NBA Rookie of the Year, and in 2011, he was the league's youngest, most valuable player. His last 4 playing seasons, though, have been shortened or canceled due to a string of knee problems. The meniscus in Rose's right knee was torn barely 2 months after his return to the field in the fall of 2013. Meniscus tears are a risk for any athlete who performs hard stops and abrupt spins, but they are more prevalent among NBA players. Rose underwent surgery once more, this time to fix the torn meniscus. But after a further year of rehab and therapy following the initial meniscus rupture, Rose had the same problem yet again. Yeesh. Not only is it upsetting to see the injury, but it's also upsetting to know what happened to Rose's career. Following up on Steve Nash's nose crack. We adore the Lakers, but this injury was so much that it simply had to be mentioned. Derek Fisher's head causes Steve Nash to crack his nose. If the human body had a reverse feature, though, Nash must have discovered it. He effortlessly snapped the nose back in place, unlike 99.9% of NBA players who would would writhe in agony on the court. Grant Hill's expression indicated that it would have been alright for Nash to take a break, but true athletes endure hardships and carry on. This is all the proof you need to rank Nash among the most resilient players in the league. Next up is Dwayne Wade's dislocated shoulder. Compared to some others in this video, we have to admit that this might not seem that bad at first glance, but Wade's dislocated shoulder injury had rendered him utterly paralyzed. The athlete has had several injuries before and managed to play through the agony, so we can only imagine how much this must have hurt to stop him dead in his tracks. Anything that prevents Wade from being wheeled away in a chair must be agonizing. Athletes seldom cry out when receiving care. You could tell this was more serious than a minor sprain as soon as the wheelchair emerged. In contrast, Paul Pierce transformed from a wheelchair to a superhero during the NBA Finals matchup with the Lakers. Getting pushed out of the arena should require you to at least miss the rest of the game, even though we don't like to see injuries. Moving on to Tony Allen's after-buzzer dunk drop. Coaches dislike it when their players attempt a passionate dunk after the buzzer is sounded, for a reason. The risk is simply too great for a pointless play. Tony Allen found that out the hard way back in 2007. The whistle blew and Allen stepped up for a dunk. He dropped awkwardly. His ACL and MCL were torn as a result. Tony didn't make the dunk, incidentally. Allen probably wishes he could relive that particular moment. Maybe he'd make the shot this time, although we're not sure if the 9 months of recovery afterward is worth the risk, though. Following up with Andrew Bogut's arm injury. A player's time in the air with his back to the earth during an NBA game is the worst possible situation. Every fan is aware that you need to be really lucky to recover from such an injury and come out unharmed. Bogut attempted to use his arm to cushion the blow. Unfortunately, his elbow couldn't bear the strain. His arm's remaining portion flailed around in an awkward manner. Arms aren't meant to wobble around like that, so if they do, you know something's up. On the plate, Amir Stoudemire occupied a prominent position. Later that evening, he tweeted his best wishes. Ever the sportsman, Bogut said, "Amir is real, shouldn't be held accountable. It was a bizarre event that occurred. Stop there. Amir is a gentleman." Next up is Rudy Tomjanovich. It really wouldn't be a complete list of the scariest NBA injuries without mentioning Rudy Tomjanovich. We're sure NBA fans recall the blow Tomjanovich received from Kermit Washington. Rudy was moving closer to break up a fight that was starting. Kermit believed he had attracted a new participant to the fight. After turning, he shot. Rudy's jaw was broken in numerous places by the blow. He missed 5 months of action. The player, who had previously been an all-star, was never the same. After that, he had a fantastic year, but the problem kept coming back, so he decided to quit in his mid-30s. It's always sad to see rising stars miss out on a sparkling career due to such injuries. Finally, to wrap things up, we've got Shaun Livingston's knee. This one still gives us nightmares. We frequently wake up screaming in the middle of the night in a cold sweat about the Clippers' jinx and how it broke Shaun's knee. When Shaun Livingston destroyed his knee, he was a rising guard. He very nearly performed the worst-case scenario for a knee injury. He suffered ACL and PCL tears, but don't panic, he merely severely damaged the MCL. Shaun is currently visible playing for the Charlotte Bobcats, if they ever start airing those teams' games on television, that is. That's a wrap for this video. Which of these NBA injuries did you think was the worst? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.